situation, maybe some interesting things that happened that led to that script and what they were trying to, tell, by writing the script and things like that. We have about an hour and a half, so we'll have to kind of storm through everything, but we'll try to, do the best we can and give everybody, equal attention. And without further ado, the first one we're reading is called Saboteur.
Saboteur. Interior, living room, late morning. Abby's hair still wrapped in strips and a dry, cracking clay mask on her face. She is leaning against the arm of a couch, open laptop on her knees. A paw appears on her shoulder as the cat appears from behind her head. Her grimace is a silent scream as he steps down on her breast, then onto her stomach.
Peel and dice one fur-bearing varmint.
Insert Lisa on video chat in upper left corner.
Winston, leave Mommy alone.
The cat looks at Lisa's image and suddenly hops down.
My cat has been date blocking me all morning.
You could always just go and talk to the cute guy down the hall.
He doesn't know I exist. Okay, next. Are you good at multitasking?
She turns her head as there is a muffled splat in the kitchen.
There, you see? Call you right back.
She walks into the kitchen to an open cupboard and overturned garbage pail on the floor. The cat looks on blandly.
Winston!
She sighs and begins shoving trash back in the liner bag.
Jerk.
He hunkers down and begins cleaning his bottom. Interior, hallway, minutes later. A door opens a crack as an eyeball surrounded by dried clay peers out. Abby's POV. Empty hallway, garbage room door a few feet away. She sneaks quietly down the hall, goes inside. Interior, garbage room. She is midway to the chute when the bottom of the bag gives out. She frantically tries to gather what she can. The door opens and the cute guy from down the hall walks in. He puts his garbage in the chute, looks her up and down, bemused and nonplussed as he takes in her Groot-like head in her housecoat and slippers. A piece of dry, cracked mask falls off her face and lands at his feet. He looks at her, working hard not to laugh.
Where do I begin?
Let me help. I'm not an escapee and I'm not out on any sort of day pass.
So, rough morning.
I really should.
A flustered Abby gestures to the mess and her wild appearance as she begins gathering garbage. He holds the chute open for her, then lets it go with a thunderous clang. Abby jumps.
Can I ask you a question?
The clay on her forehead moves as she tries to raise her eyebrows, trying to keep garbage from falling. She can't believe this is happening.
Your lasagna.
Points to the carton in her arms.
I can't find that brand anymore.
The grocery over in the strip mall?
Her eyes dart nervously toward the door, afraid someone will come looking for the source of the noise.
Still carries it.
Cool, thanks.
He suddenly remembers his manners and opens the chute back up.
Sorry, so you live in 3A?
They walk together to the door, which he opens for her.
How can you possibly tell?
I've seen you like 100 times.
They walk out, the door closes behind them. Beat. Cut to close-up computer screen. Lid of laptop closes on bobbing hearts. The cat steps onto it and settles down, closes his eyes, purring contentedly. Fade out.
Okay, the next one is JILLIAN'S Peak.
Jillian's Peak. Interior, dance floor. Jillian and Keith dance.
I was hoping you would catch the bouquet. You're the prettiest woman in the room.
No, I'm not. I think Victoria looks more beautiful than me and my friend Gail, too.
But I don't see them. I just see...
She steps on his foot.
Ow!
I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have danced. I guess I'm a little clumsy.
It's okay, I got you. I'm fine, see? My feet still work. That's better. Now just relax and follow my lead.
Keith leads Jillian in a dance. Victoria and Lamont dance next to them. Victoria gives Jillian a wink. Lamont spins Victoria around and also gives Jillian a wink. They both seem to approve of Jillian's choice.
So are you a friend of Lamont's?
No, he does my mother and sister's hair. My mom said he doesn't have many male friends, so here I am. I've met your sister a few times when I picked them up. She's nice.
Yes, she is.
Jillian places her hand on her head.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I just need to sit down. Thank you for the dance.
No problem. Hope you can save me another one.
Maybe.
Jillian makes her way through the crowd, giving Keith one last look. They lock eyes, and Jillian quickly turns away. Just as she turns, Jillian bumps into one of the waitresses carrying drinks. One of the drinks spills on her blouse.
I'm so sorry, ma'am. Here, let me get that.
Jillian immediately looks down at the stain on her blouse.
It's okay. It's my fault. I wasn't looking.
Jillian looks up, and her eyes lock with the waitress's, who's still wiping the stain on her blouse close to her breast. Jillian's eyes canvas down at the waitress's body, then back at her own chest, where the waitress continues wiping the stain away.
No, I should have been watching where I was going. Did I get you in your camera?
No, it didn't get wet.
Oh wow, is that the Canon?
Yes, it is. Do you know a little something about photography?
Gail watches the interaction between Jillian and the waitress in conversation.
I was planning to register in a photography class at the local college once I save enough money.
I majored in photography at that same college. Maybe I can help you gain a better knowledge of it in advance.
That would be great. I wish I had the time though. Well, it was nice meeting you. I apologize again.
No problem. Nice meeting you too.
Interior, reception hall, Gail's table. Jillian walks back to the table. Gail waits in anticipation to hear what Jillian has to say about the waitress. Jillian sits.
Touch blue.
Full screen. Sandra Collins, age 9, drowns in Old Mill Creek. Body recovered 2 miles downstream. Local children questioned. Rumor of kids playing strange and dangerous games. Was little Sandra coaxed into the turbulent waters on a dare? Connie abruptly pushes away from the computer. Her hands are trembling. Interior, Connie's 3rd grade classroom, day. Returning to the classroom, Connie is unnerved even more to find Sandra already there and seated all alone. The little girl's head is craned around and smiling, as if expecting Connie's entrance from the rear of the classroom. Momentary shock registers on Connie's face, but she quickly regains her composure. She makes her way to her desk, desperately trying to look unafraid. Once Connie is seated at her desk, she looks Sandra directly in the eye.
Who are you?
Sandra speaks in a strange, upbeat fashion. It's as if she's giving a class presentation.
You knew me so long ago, Connie. I was new to the neighborhood. You remember. You and all the pretty and popular girls. You played with me once.
Connie tries to keep herself from becoming upset.
That's impossible.
The fact that you could erase what happened to me is impossible. The game was your idea, remember? Truth or dare?
Sandra.
You asked me, truth or dare, Sandra, truth or dare. I said truth, but your question was unbearable. Do you remember what it was?
Connie is near tears. She shakes her head.
No. Yes. Yes, I remember.
Sandra's words come out strained here.
You asked me how my daddy died. You knew my daddy died in the electric chair. I didn't know how you knew that.
Connie begins to sob.
My mother said it. She was drunk. She didn't know I was in the next room. She's always got dirt on others.
I didn't want to say. I couldn't answer that question. It would have only led to more questions, horrible questions, like what my daddy did to be put in that awful chair, to die that way.
I'm sorry.
Sandra's voice becomes more scornful. She leans forward, her eyes fixed hard on Connie.
No, you're not. You were smiling when you asked it. You wanted to see me squirm.
I don't know why I did things like that. I was a bad little girl, Sandra.
Sandra sits back in her chair.
And now you're a bad, big girl, aren't you, Connie? Still hurting others. Still serving only yourself.
Please forgive me. I was just stupid.
You got your wish. Got to see me squirm. When I took the dare instead and walked into the rushing water, I got pulled under so quickly. I squirmed a long time in the muck, trying to breathe, trying to get to the surface. Did you see me squirm? Or did you run away with all the others?
Connie stands and screams.
Stop it! Stop it! I can't undo what's been done. But I can repent if you let me.
Sandra smiles broadly. She says nothing for what seems an eternity. Her little girl persona returns, in a young and innocent voice.
Really, Connie? You're really sorry you killed me?
Connie shivers and nods through tears.
Touch blue. It's true?
Smiling weakly, Connie abides by the childhood creed and touches her blue skirt.
Touch blue. It's true.
Sandra smiles. The bell rings. Connie's startled attention is drawn to the returning children entering the classroom and taking their seats. When she looks back, Sandra is gone.
I forgot.
Interior kitchen, evening. Shane gets leftover takeout containers out of the fridge and spoons some of their contents onto a plate.
I don't know about this, Shane. It sounds pretty shady.
I know, but it's victimless, right? If anything, it would help the reputation of the firm, and for Becca...
I just want you to think about the implications of doing something illegal right now.
Yeah, I know. Gabe, I miss them so much. It's killing me that I can't be in their lives. I just want to do this one thing for them, at least.
Have you been going to meetings?
I've just been caught up in...
Get to a meeting.
Gabe, I'm not... I'm not putting myself in a high-risk environment or anything.
I'm not the one who needs convincing. Get to a meeting.
The microwave beeps. Shane opens it and tests a bit of food. Not hot enough.
Yeah.
He puts the plate back in and shuts the microwave door. Cut to interior kitchen afternoon. Shane is on the phone while making coffee. Silence.
How much would it cost?
Well, there's a nominal activation fee for the basic service and an additional hourly rate, but actually, let me tell you about our deluxe package.
Okay.
It covers all paper records, public and private, school transcripts. We can actually remove you from printed photos.
Printed photos.
Not only will your photo be removed from every copy of your high school yearbook, but the message you scribbled in Jordan Kelley's yearbook at the end of senior year, gone.
Come on, wait a minute.
But here's where we really earn our fee. We can remove you from Jordan Kelley's head. Mr. Emery?
I don't...
We can make anyone who ever knew you forget you ever existed. Coworkers, friends, family.
Shane looks at the photo, which is now tattered.
And we think that might be something you're interested in.
Shane instinctively looks around him, as if watched. He still says nothing.
Mr. Emery? Shane?
Assuming I believe you for the moment, what would I have to do?
On your end, the process is really simple. 1 pill a day.
Pills.
We start with the trial phase at no cost to you beyond the basic fee. If you decide to follow through with the whole treatment, we charge our deluxe fee.
Which is?
Well, the monetary charge is your life savings and fully liquidized credit lines and assets. But we also assume control over your social security number, your credit history,
So, basically, you get my whole identity.
for which you will have no use if you finish the treatment. You don't have to commit until after the trial phase. But, as I said, we're betting that categorical oblivion is...
Something I might be interested in.
Are we right, Mr. Emery?
Shane stares at the photo.
The third death.
The third death. Interior, train station bench. Continuous. Bob is taking all this in.
Wow.
The attendant sparks up the heroin addict's lighter, and the French woman, afraid of fire, scurries away.
I think she's being remembered wrongly.
Who the hell knows? Doesn't really matter. That's all anyone will ever remember her as. And if they're remembering her, it doesn't matter if it's true or not. She's still stuck here with the rest of us.
Bob, taking all this in, a sudden question in his eyes.
Why are you still here, Henry? Who remembers you?
Henry sighs. He starts lighting the tip to his cigarette, but the lighter won't start.
I'd rather not say.
Why not? You got something better to do?
Henry reacts, then nods.
You ever been to Mississippi, Bob?
Once.
They have this restaurant up in Vicksburg called Rowdy's.
Mississippi's finest mud pies.
Henry nods.
Most of us didn't go for the food, though. We went to see her,
Ah, a lady.
Lorraine.
Was it love at first sight?
So in love, we rushed into it. Too fast. You see, she was late. I knocked her up. And I was just a kid. Kids get scared. So I enrolled, thought I could run away from my problems, said I wanted to see combat, thought it'd be a good distraction. It wasn't. I knew it was a mistake during my first E1 call. So I ran.
You don't look like a coward.
Henry swallows.
One day, I wasn't there for roll call. Didn't stand muster. That's a court-martial offense.
Why?
I had to get back to her.
Did you?
No. I stepped on a landmine, blew myself up.
I'm sorry.
She still curses my name. We're only alive in the heads of those who remember us. I know that now.
Bob swallows. Henry puts out his cigarette as he gets up from the bench. Abraham Lincoln is asleep in his hat.
Come on, she doesn't hate you. Don't say that.
When you're here as long as I've been, Bob, you know what your life was.
Henry turns his back and starts to walk away.
Layers.
ice cream parlor, day. Wilbur lumbers in and passes by a young couple seated at a table. They size him up and fight back their laughter. Wilbur grabs a huge tub of ice cream from the freezer and brings it over to the counter to pay for it. A mother and daughter are ahead of him. He notices the petite cashier, a redhead with freckles named Danny. She's probably about 30, but with her whimsical manner, she seems younger. Wilbur can't help but to steal glances of her as she converses with the customers in an animated way. They leave, and Wilbur moves up to the counter. He notices her name tag says Susie.
Wow, big guy, whammo-sized ice cream, all right.
Wilbur's embarrassed, keeps his head down.
Holy crap, I can't even lift this thing to scan it.
He hides his face from the customers.
I can help.
No, it's just one of the many hazards of the job. Plus, if you help me, how can I expect to win the Cashier of the Month award if I can't even do my own job?
Sorry.
Well, if there was a Cashier of the Month award. Psych, gotcha, I was just joshing.
He lifts his eyes, brightens a bit.
You're going to eat all of this?
He shrugs his shoulders.
Man, you are one lucky dude. I can't eat ice cream. Lactose intolerant.
Sorry.
Nothing to be sorry about, just get bad cramps is all.
That's too bad.
Oh yeah, and it makes my stool all loosey-goosey. Yeah, I get that.
Wilbur checks to make sure no one is listening.
Well, hey, what's your name?
Wilbur?
Like, Wilbur?
Wilbur forces a tiny smile.
Like Mr. Ed?
He's heard it before.
Anyway, I'm Danny.
But your name tag says Susie.
Oh yeah, Susie's dead. So we all wear the same name tag as a tribute to her.
Wilbur feels badly.
Just joshing, Wilbur.
He smiles bashfully.
I kind of just started here, didn't get a nameplate yet, so until I do, the rule is you have to call me Susie.
So not Danny.
Danny leans back and studies Wilbur for a moment.
I need you to do me a favor. If we're going to continue talking, I need you to look up at me every once in a while, just so I know you're not dead.
He looks up and meets her eyes and smiles.
Holy crap! It looks like you got all the normal stuff. Like I see a nose, 2 eyes, that's always good, and even a mouth. Great, looks like everything checks out.
Ears too.
Ears too! You're so lucky. My mom has no ears. I mean, it's tough for her when she wears glasses, but she saves a ton on earrings.
You're joshing me.
You're catching on, Wilbur. Catching on quick. Okay, now I need another favor. I need help giving something in the back.
In the back?
In the freezer, where we keep our stuff. Please?
Can someone else help?
Wow, I mistook you for someone who cared.
I do care.
I'm a human asking another human for a helping hand in a time of need. Apparently I'm asking the wrong human.
No, I'm the right human.
So you'll help?
Wilbur mulls it over and gives in.
Goody!
Dressed in shorts, she sits up on the counter, spins around, and jumps down on the other side.
Follow me.
My ice cream, it'll melt.
So it'll be like a shake.
Yeah, but I'd rather not have it that way.
Fine.
She grabs the tub and acts like it weighs a ton. Wilbur takes it from her. They head to the back of the store. When they get to the stockroom door, Danny turns to the couple that mocked Wilbur.
Okay, losers, we're going in the back for a minute, so try not to steal anything.
The couple looks around, mystified.
Yeah, losers, you heard me.
The darkness before me.
Have a seat.
I had another nightmare.
Tony, I'd like to try a little hypnotherapy today.
His eyes widened a bit.
I don't know if I like that.
Why? We've discussed this option before.
I'm afraid I'll say things that...
Will embarrass you. Even in hypnotic state, you are still in control.
He wrings his hands.
How long will it take?
As long as it takes.
No, I mean... Promise me to wake me up before it gets dark.
Of course.
Interior, psychiatrist's office, later, day. Tony's eyes are closed. Dr. Jennings is seated close to him. Her voice is subdued, rhythmic.
Counting backwards, Tony. Slow. Back from 10. Slow. So slow. And with every number, you are becoming more and more relaxed.
10, 9, 8.
Tony's voice drifts away more and more.
That's it. Your body is adrift. Exhale each number slowly. So slow.
7, 6, 5.
He's entranced.
Tony,
Yes?
let's go back to when you were a boy. A boy shuddered away in a dark closet.
He begins to whimper, childlike.
No,
It's okay, Tony. I'm here with you. It's safe.
but
It's safe. It's just dark. It's just a closet. Are your coats in there? Look around.
too dark.
Feel. What can you feel?
Scamp.
She smirks while admiring her nails.
That's right. Just you and Scamp. Nothing else.
There's a monster in here with us.
No, there is no monster, Tony. There's no monster in the dark. Just you and Scamp.
He's not gonna come, the monster's not gonna come out.
There is no monster. And the punishment is long over. You were a good boy, Tony. There's nothing to be ashamed of.
Scamp.
Did what puppies do. He was a good little dog after all, wasn't he?
He starts to cry. She sighs.
Yes, he was a good dog. He didn't do anything wrong.
And neither did you.
I didn't do anything wrong.
No, you were just a boy.
Tony cries. She sits back.
I want to bring you out, Tony. Let's count again, okay?
Okay.
1 to 10, and with every number, you become more and more awake. 1, 2.
3, 4.
He slowly awakens and sits up, rubbing his eyes. He smiles.
How do you feel?
Different. Better. Safer.
One child born.
Exterior, Rwandan house. Day. Lawrence steps out onto the porch to see Michelle carrying Charlotte, 6, into the trees. Michelle's hand is clamped over Charlotte's mouth as she stares wide-eyed at her father. Then they are gone. He sits in the rocking chair, taps the ashes out of his pipe. He refills his pipe, lights it, and takes a puff. Jumbled voices. Laurent rocks and puffs. A mob of men come around the bend towards the house, carrying machetes and sticks. The mob reaches the front of the house. Paul, 40, steps out of the crowd.
Good day, Paul.
Not so good for you, Lauren. Where are your wife and children today?
At Madame Kagame's. The baby is coming.
A lucky break. You don't mind if we check?
Paul steps onto the porch. Laurent gets up to block the door.
Actually, I'd prefer if you didn't make a mess. What with the baby coming home in a few days?
Paul smashes Laurent across the mouth with his fist and heaves him aside. The mob floods into the house as Paul holds Laurent pinned against the wall.
I'm almost sorry we have to do this.
Paul, I've always respected you. I thought we were friends.
Lauren, even if we were once friends, that's not a mistake I can afford to continue. My people are killing even their own if they think them too friendly with your kind. I have a wife and children too.
And I pray God forgives you for what you must do to save him.
Interior, crawl space, day. Footsteps and the sound of items falling pound against the ceiling of the crawl space. Sylvie groans in pain, but her sounds blend in with the noises from above. Exterior, Rwandan house, day. A mob member, 20s, comes out of the house.
No one is here. The house is empty.
Then set fire to it.
Yes, sir.
The mob member shouts into the door.
Everyone out. We'll set it on fire.
Shame to waste a good farmhouse.
I'll build a bigger one when I move my family here. I like you, Lauren. Tell you what,
He pulls a hunting knife from his belt.
I won't let them hack you to death with their machetes.
Paul jams the knife into Laurent's gut. Laurent whispers his dying breath.
Thank you.
Paul lets the body slump onto the porch.
Magic trick.
Cut to exterior, the bench in front of the cave. Day.
My name is Olivia. I'm your friend.
You are?
Olivia walks down to him.
Yes, let's sit for a moment.
They sit on the bench.
I know what you're thinking. Where is she?
Mom.
Yes.
She's in the same building. I've asked for her. Why doesn't she come?
David looks into the cave.
Why doesn't she?
Walk with you into...
She never has.
You've had to walk that cave. Into a lot of caves in your life when you thought you were alone.
I was alone. She was always in a meeting, or in surgery, or with a patient or something.
Cut to interior, Dr. Adams' conference room. Day. Adams, Roberts, and Allen are standing in the corner of the conference room staring at the screen. Pierce enters the room and walks over to them.
He's going down fast, half an hour maybe.
Pierce joins in, looking at the screen with the rest. On the screen is an overhead view of the surgery. When she secures the clip, I say tell her. She needs to know what has happened, and she needs the decision. It's on her, I'm afraid.
Yes, that's exactly right.
I strongly disagree.
They all hear Xavier's voice over the radio.
Clip secured. Have a look, Dr. Browning. Then we'll go on to the aneurysm clip. That one is a little more complicated.
You know how complicated that clip is. One break in the concentration of the surgeon and the whole thing could rupture. You know that.
Adam stares at the screen for a moment, then makes a decision. Alan, go to your computer and send the message. Tell her what is going on. You'll know the best how to say it.
I can't believe this.
This is the right thing.
I don't believe in this situation that there is a right thing, Dr. Pierce. Interior, operating room, day. Xavier is explaining the procedure to Browning as he looks through the microscope.
The clip works like a tiny coil spring clothespin. The blades of the clip remain lightly closed until pressure is applied to open the blades.
Amazing.
Browning pulls away from the microscope.
Well, let's get the main show going. Louise, assume the position. How's the gas, Bobby?
Gas is good.
You hanging in there, Vicky?
I'm hanging, Doc.
Great. Here we go.
Xavier leans into the microscope. Exterior, the bench, in front of the cave. Day. Cut 2. David is standing a few feet in front of the bench. Olivia is still sitting. Cut 2.
So are you my fairy godmother or spirit guide or something like that?
Olivia laughs, stands, and approaches him.
I guess something like that.
Olivia huddles her arms close to her chest.
It seems cold to me. Does it to you?
David stares with menace at the cave.
The cold is coming from that ugly thing.
You've had to look into some pretty ugly caves in your life, David. You lost your dad when you were very young. You felt awfully alone through the years, I know.
Be there by 7, David. We'll play a game. On Sunday we'll go to the movies. I would always believe her, even though deep down I really didn't.
Do you remember your 7th birthday party?
Is that the one with the magician?
That's right. And your mom wasn't there. She got called away to emergency surgery.
Of course.
Do you remember there were a bunch of other children there? And the magician did all of these tricks with disappearing objects and animals?
Yeah, I kind of remember.
First prize.
First prize.
Here's an idea. Why don't you do a contest? Why don't you get some of those big entry fee bucks?
Yeah, right.
He taps send on the keyboard.
There. That makes 55. This one is only 35 bucks.
Another 35 bucks down the tube. How about if someone sent you 35 bucks?
Say what? What are you babbling about?
No, listen a minute. Suppose you create a screenplay contest. Run it up on the internet and wait for some of those dead presidents to roll in your way. You know half those fuckers are phony anyway.
Look at you, the little cynic.
What does that mean, Georgie?
It means not everyone is out to get you. The people I've met in the movie industry are pretty nice people. Pretty nice.
Who's that? Who do you know in the movie industry, Georgie?
Well,
I thought so.
I know Francis Ford Coppola.
I hadn't heard about that. So tell.
I got a personal message from him asking me to enter his contest.
What, an email?
Yeah. And Spielberg and Woody Allen, too.
You and 10,000 other idiots. Did you enter?
Of course.
And did you ever hear any more about them?
Nah.
Sounds pretty personal, right?
Sure, no one would fake that. That would be like forgery or something.
Move over, I'll show you something.
He sets the type style and size and taps on the keyboard. Announcing new screenplay contest.
We don't have a contest, Howie.
No? Watch this. What should we call it?
How about the dumbass screenplay contest?
Perfect. We'll run up the flagpole and see what happens. Watch.
Howie types away, steals graphics from other websites, and little by little creates a credible-looking announcement complete with semi-clad girls strutting in front of a huge camera. Dumbass Screenwriting Contest, now accepting entries for its 3rd annual contest. Any genre accepted. Comedy, drama, horror, documentary, TV pilot, etc. This could be your big chance.
3rd annual.
Correct. How much should we charge to enter?
How about enough to make bail when we're found out? What you're saying is we're going to run a screenplay contest, take people's money when we don't even have a contest. Is that it?
Pretty much. Just like about half the contest you've entered already. 50 bucks sounds like a good number. Makes it easy to add up.
Georgie fishes around in an overflowing ashtray and comes up with a half-smoked joint. He snaps his lighter, brings the smoke to a glow, and takes a deep drag. He hands it to Howie, who takes a drag too.
lot of writers here, but not everybody. If I can ask you to raise your hand just so that I know how many people we ended up with. Seven. Okay. So we're gonna go in the same order. So as a writer myself, I know that writers, we're typically influenced by things we read, things that happen to us, or our friends, or places we travel to, or nightmares that we have. So I'd be very curious to hear what motivated you to write this and how it happened. So let's start with the Saboteur. No? Okay. JILLIAN'S Peak. I know that you're here. Okay. Do you want to come over and chat a little bit?
First of all, I just want to, my name is Danielle Johnson. I'm one of the executive producers and co-writers of JILLIAN'S Peak. This is my partner.
I'm Charzette Torrence. You can call me Charlie T, and we're both writers and creators, executive producers.
So first of all, before we answer your question, I just want to thank the actors.
Yes,
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you for having us.
And we want to thank the New York Independent Film Festival for selecting us. Let's give them a hand. They do a great job. So honored to be here.
So, inspiration include, right?
The inspiration was based on, it's loosely based on my life. And the inspiration was because I didn't see me or my life as an African-American lesbian within film or TV. And what you see as far as lesbians usually get killed off, or you really don't, you see mostly the gay males, but nothing about African-American lesbian life, family, community, and church. You know, everybody is a part of the rainbow, so we want to raise the rainbow colors up that reflects who we are in our communities.
Okay. So another tricky question that I want to ask is, so we only get to hear 3 to 4 minutes, and it's really nothing. You know, we don't really get to know what happens in the play, and a lot of the plays had really surprising endings. So I don't know if you want to give away the ending or kind of like maybe allude to it and tell us a little bit what happened. I mean, I read the whole play. I know that she had a tough choice. Andrew Bride had a tough choice. At the end, you know, who's she gonna go with, a male or a female? But I want to hear what you want to say.
Well, the first season, you get to follow Jillian in episode, the episode that was partially read. In that episode, she is at her sister's wedding, and that's when she stumbles and meets and finds some interest in a young lady that was there working at the wedding. Throughout the whole first season, we follow through Jillian. She does meet a young man whom she's supposed to marry or will marry. We don't know, but that's what the first episode, the first season follows through. It follows through her different decision making, a whole eclectic of her friends that she deals with. The family, the church, the community, and so on. So,
because coming from, it's based in Detroit, but when you raised up as a, African American, you're either going to be Baptist, and you know how the Baptist religion is. Most women, we're told to marry a man, white picket fence, in a house. So you raised up to believe that's what you're supposed to do. Now, it's also deal with, I'm a believer that you either know when you're young, you're gay, some people do, and so you sort of have these feelings, so we're going to touch on that as well. So it's like hiding within yourself, because how will the black community accept you? Will you be hanged by the cross? You don't want to disappoint people. Jillian starts at the latter part of her life. What do you do when you've been told this is what your life should be by society, knowing that inside who you truly are? How do you navigate that without disappointing people and your community and your family?
So it's a journey of self-discovery.
And most women go through the self-discovery within the self, within this world. How do you become who you are and stand in your truth without disappointing people, family, and friends?
So I read the play and I couldn't tell what ultimately happened. It was kind of left open-ended. And I am curious if you know what happened.
Oh, we do.
We do. At least I do. We do. It's very interesting. Most of the point is loosely based on my life, but most of it is true.
Well,
A
I
lot
tell
of
you,
drama.
right? Well, I tell you this: if
Okay.
it's loosely based on her life,
Okay.
and she was supposed to get married, I am also her wife, so you can kind of figure out what is going to happen.
But the trials and challenges to get to where we are here right now, including in the film industry, this is what's happening.
Okay.
This is the end result to New York.
I'm glad I asked that question because it was kind of bugging me. Okay. All right. Thank you
All right,
so much.
thank
Liz.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Touch blue. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you guys. This is incredibly hard.
Okay. So I'm going to start with the same question. What inspired that play? Was it based on anything that really happened?
As a whole, I've always been fascinated with psychological thrillers. I like having my mind messed with, so I guess in turn I try to mess with other people's minds. I grew up watching Night Gallery and Outer Limits and Alfred Hitchcock and things like that. So I like the power of a short story that has a distinct middle, beginning, and end in its own way. Sometimes poses more questions than it answers. The little girl Sandra in Touch Blue is actually, to me, inspired by an old movie called The Bad Seed. I don't know if you're familiar with that. The little, very evil little girl in that. Sandra kind of embodies that attitude with a touch on the paranormal, I
guess. Writing thrillers is a very special skill. You want to give away certain things, but not give away certain other things. Like you said, you play with people's mind. How do you usually structure your work when you write this? How do you plan what you will give away, what you will hold to the end?
I try to write phrases that are multi-layered in their own way, that they can be taken, interpreted in different ways. Sometimes people will look at my work and they'll come away with different endings or different perspectives, and that's what you want. You don't always answer all the questions. Sometimes they see something that you didn't intend, but that's not wrong. It's just the way it goes. But I think with thrillers, a large part of it is the way the work is executed by professionals like this. They can bring much more to the language. They can elevate the words. They can bring them to life. Sometimes they can bring on layers that even a director or writer didn't envision. So it's a piece of work that is obviously halfway there, but especially with a thriller, or like you see with comedies, that the performers can really bring it home, and they just add something to it that you didn't foresee. They can teach you about your own work.
In the play, ultimately, does the victim forgive the girl who did this truce-on-air or something?
No, she doesn't. And the main character is she's not very redemptive, and you see some of the qualities of that early on, and there's still a reckoning for her, and I guess it's kind of a little bit of an open ending. The little girl that she tormented when she was a child comes to her home later to play with her child, and takes him out to play truth or dare. So so it comes back to her also.
Is it the moment when she said, I repent if you let me, you almost kind of think that she is truly sorry, but you don't think she is, and there's a lot of kind of going back and forth about it in your own head.
Yeah, I think it was a self-preservation move. I don't think she's a person that ever learned by her mistakes, and the ending again could be something where maybe she lets her little boy go. Maybe she thinks that if I give her my little boy, she'll leave me alone, and it's that kind of selfishness that she might be prepared to do that. So that's where I kind of let that more interpreted to see how people would respond to that.
Was the whole sort of my play was inspired by anything read in particular, or just kind of weaved on your own?
Yeah, I wish I knew where it comes from. Sometimes, I mean, I watch a lot of film, I listen to a lot of music, read a lot of books, and you always feel the well, and then things come out. I'm not sure where. I had little fragments of things, like Little Girl from the Bed, little things like that will set me off, but I'm not always sure where I get it.
So it's more like a bunch of little dots and they start to that.
Yeah, then you got to get them out of your head.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
To be forgotten. Okay. The third death. Okay. Layers.
First of all, I don't do these. The reason I write scripts is because someone else can direct them. They could do the Q&A. If the movie sucks, they blame it on them. So I'm not good at
this time.
I'm not good at these. I was going to try to run out, but it's all
blocked
blocked in. I was going to jump off this way, but yeah. So bear with me.
So tell us a little bit about how the play happened, why you decided to write it, and what inspired it.
The screenplay was just in between scripts, feature scripts, and things we've shot. And I said, hey, I'm going to write a script about a fat guy who's very self-conscious. So that was pretty much it. When I was young, I was very, very self-conscious about being overweight. And that's pretty much, I got a magnum of wine, and I just wrote it. Just sat there and wrote it for one night.
One day?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was really fast. So, what's interesting is...
By the way, mine was the one with the ice cream parlor. I don't know if anyone knows that, just to make sure.
What I thought was interesting is when we were listening to the reading of the script, you can't necessarily tell if Bill Burr is a nice guy or maybe not if you're a nice guy, because it takes her a while to convince him to help her. In the play, he's an incredibly nice guy who I think everybody pushes around because he's still self-conscious, and I think he's just not confident, in what he thinks.
You don't know if he's a serial killer or a nice guy. Because he's right. And we got the most skinniest guy we could play. Which is great.
So he's a really, really
He's a nice
sweet
guy.
guy who is willing to help the whole world and never takes offense, and everybody pushes him around, everybody makes fun of him, and he just, goes on. And suddenly here, when there's, he meets somebody who he actually likes and who's so sweet to him, he completely blacks out and can function. So I thought
she does better than me. She got it better than me.
the play. So I thought it was kind of an interesting, juxtaposition. Quite often we can't function the way we want to function when we put in a new situation where we sound like awkward. So I'm curious if you were conscious of all of that when you were writing it.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
And, we're all writers. I mean, there's all of us in everything we write. And in this particular script, there was a lot of me. I really didn't set out. I didn't have, shorts. You could see the end.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to plot or outline. So when you start, you can write it in one night while drinking wine. And it was just something that just poured out of me, honestly. It sounds cliche, but literally that's what it was.
Catharsis.
Yes, that's really what it was. I didn't have to think about the character really. Just, there's a lot of us with different things. It could be overweight or drugs or whatever. It could be a lot of things we're self-conscious about. We all have our own, our own things we go through. So I think it's somewhat universal in the script.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What's your birthday?
The darkness before me.
That's everything I said earlier.
All right. I'm going to make a little confession too. So I've read yours and do the story myself. I'm very picky when I read them. I don't just read them. I try to pick them apart and figure out what the end is going to be. And because I read a lot of them, I'm really good at them. I totally did not see the ending coming. Totally did not see the ending coming at all. So, I don't know if we want to just talk a little bit about how
Sure.
this story came about, and I really like how you build. This is not just build a suspense. Like you really play trick on the person's mind so well that the ending was a complete surprise.
Well, Tony is a character. He's an adult, very fragile, very diffident, who's still afraid of the dark, fears monsters in the dark. But the psychoanalyst that he's given is, she's very narcissistic. She sees herself in a reality show where she's going to be featured as a sexy psychiatrist type of thing. And this is all she can really think of. This guy pays the bills, so she'll listen to him. But really, she's not really, there's no due diligence here. She's not really paying attention to what she has in front of him. So in essence, she's really the main character in this. So she has this man before her who talks about his fear of the dark. There's a monster in the dark. Something bad happens in the dark.
So you buy into it.
Yes. And
You know people who in real life, they do totally on this guy's side. You feel for him so bad.
and she begins to bring him out of this, what she perceives to be his problem. And lo and behold, the lights snap out during her last session. And the monster does reveal itself, and the monster is Tony. Tony becomes the monster.
He killed his puppy, didn't he?
Very good. So she finds that out obviously too late. So her not paying attention, just how deep this darkness went, how dark it was right in front of her, and she pays the ultimate price for not paying attention to that. So.
Yeah, and when you read to the end, you really begin to appreciate to what extent Tony, to what extent he went to not be in the dark, to not let this monster out of him. And all his, when he talks to her and he says, "Wake me up when the darkness comes," he doesn't want to do it again. But he can't say it. He sleeps with his lights on. He never wants to be in the dark because he knows what's going to happen. So you really, once you get to the ending, you really appreciate the whole thing.
It's kind of a werewolf story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually started to try to shoot this film myself. I auditioned an actor and actress. I started to look at scenes and trying to put it together. And I think the scope was too big for me. So, but I still liked it. I believed in the story, and I thought it was still a very powerful script. And, again, like a Twilight Zone, like a night gallery type of thing. But I'm very thankful you guys, liked it and appreciated my work. So, and you guys again did an awesome job. So. All right.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Magic trick?
Inspiration? Or?
Inspiration, yes.
Sure. I think two things. First, there was my brother died about 30 years ago, and watching my parents suffer during that event has always remained with me as a dramatic power. And then secondly, I saw a documentary about 20 years ago about a pair of neurosurgeons who were married and had a child, or had children. I think they were in New York, and they hired everyone to do everything, and they hardly ever saw their children. They didn't know who the president was. They didn't know anything else because they were so wrapped up in their work. And what you can't hear from just the reading, of course, is that you have a situation where a widowed woman neurosurgeon is performing an aneurysm clip. And what happens is there are these three administrative doctors who are arguing over whether to tell her or not that her son's just been hit by a bus and he's dying in the next room. And he's calling for her. And if she leaves the surgery, the patient dies. But her son is calling for her, he's dying too. So what does she do? And the three administrators argue back and forth and finally decide to send her a message over a computer screen. And when she gets the message, she freezes. And she just stands there with the rest of the surgical team trying to figure out what to do and looking at each other and whispering. And she just stands there like this with their instruments on the brain. And while all of that is going on, her son is having this experience in the netherworld in which he is sitting in front of a cave, and he calls her the fairy godmother. This woman appears and tries to explain to him what his mother has gone through all these years of not being able to go to birthday parties, and she talks about the magic trick going on. And the entire theme eventually develops into Mom has had to pull some awfully dramatic magic tricks to try to survive and keep, at least try to make a living and take care of him. And eventually she transforms into Mom. The fairy godmother becomes the mom who was standing there with the instrument, and she tries to explain it. And there's no real resolution to that. As much as she is dying in agony, as much as she loves him, as much as he loves her, he can't quite forgive her, and she can't quite forgive herself. I think she, as I recall, she finally says, well, I did all that work so other people wouldn't have to go in that cave, because he's sitting in front of the cave. And at the end of the film, of course, he eventually says, I have to go in there now. It's time. And the three administrators get a message that he's dead. And she suddenly comes out of her and starts performing the surgery again and finishes it. At the end of the film, she walks in to see the patient, and the patient has written a note up to her that says, David is fine. And she looks up, and that was the patient, the fairy godmother who was helping him out. That's the patient for the surgery as he was performing it. So that's the story that you couldn't get from just a reading, but that's side.
Yeah, I also want to say the right side of this, when the play opens with the 16-year-old son being killed by a bus, and then we see her operating in that room, and for a while we don't know whether she's operating. We actually think that she's operating on him and trying to save his life,
Right.
while the doctors are discussing something that doesn't make a lot of sense. Because what do they need to tell her if she's already operating on him? And only slowly but surely we start realizing the complexity of the issue. And you can't figure out, this is really torture for the reader, would be torture for somebody who was watching the play, which I hope happens one day, is that you can't decide what you want her to do. Should she stop operating on this person who could be saved, sounds like it, and go to her son, who doesn't sound like he'll be saved anyway. So it's almost like the logical part of you says that no, she should finish the surgery. And then the human part of you thinks, what are you talking about? She has to go to her son. And when she doesn't go to her son, you feel all this complexity all over again. And you can't be her, and you feel for him, and it's awful, especially if you have a good imagination. You immediately put yourself in that situation, and it's just an incredibly hard moment.
I rewrote the scene where Mother appears there in the presence of him at the cave. I rewrote that about 14, 15 times because I couldn't quite get the right balance. I mean, I couldn't let him just forgive her, but I couldn't let her totally forgive herself, and I couldn't have a schmaltzy hug. I got it, well, you did what you had to do. I understand you had to save these people. And so that's what I came up with after writing the scene over and over again.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One child born.
Thank you to the cast, thank you to the festival.
Howdy. So tell us a little bit how things are.
So this came about through a writing competition. I do it regularly. It's called the NYC Midnight Writing Competition. They do short screenplays and flash fiction. And one year the prompt was, it has to be set in a farmhouse, has to be a drama, somebody has to be smoking a pipe.
That's
I
specific.
thought the highest drama that I could think of suddenly hit on me, that the Rwandan genocide would be an amazing setting for a story. 600,000 Rwandans died in the space of 45 days in 1994, mostly Tutsis killed at the hands of the Hutus. And so in this story, Laurent is sitting on the porch while his wife is in labor, and Madame Kagame is the midwife, and his son runs up and says, the mob is coming, the Hutus are coming, they're coming for us. He said, that's not possible. They've already burnt the other farms, we've got to go. He can't go because his wife can't travel. He has a little girl who's outside playing, so he has to send his son out to get her and hide in the forest. He has to put his wife and the midwife down under the house in the crawl space. Pushes a huge bed over the trap door, and then he has to pretend that he's alone in the house, sitting on the porch, while the mob comes. And despite his best efforts, they've decided they're going to burn the house down anyway. And fortunately, to give away the ending, his wife, his baby, and midwife survive under the house as it burns around them. And the children come out of the forest, and the family leaves. And the last thing that the woman says is, or the brother says, "What's the baby's name?" And she says, "Laurent. We're going to name it Laurent." So.
I want to say that the play was incredibly beautifully executed because there were this incredible, little touches that we living here in this world don't understand about people living out in a farm, Rwanda, someplace. For example, when the midwife and the wife go downstairs into the closed space, the midwife says, "Here's a piece of leather." There goes a piece of leather. Leather for you. Bite it when you have to scream because you can't scream. And it's a very telling moment for any woman, and I think anybody who had children, because it is not really truly possible to control that, but she has to, because otherwise she'll be dead and her child will be dead, and midwife will probably be dead. She's probably from the same tribe, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And there are many very telling moments, and even from that little piece that we did hear, being read, I thought it was incredibly telling that the man who kills the father actually tells him, yes, I've been friends with you, but it's not a mistake I can afford now. A lot of similar situations happened during World War II. Maybe we have, ancestors in the family who had certain situations when they either had to, hide people in their house or, be taken. So for me, it brought back a lot of thoughts from the closer times, the more familiar dilemmas that we have, how families maybe had during other wars.
The Bosnian genocide.
Yeah, the Bosnian genocide was
people who lived next to each other for centuries, who knew that they were ethnically and religiously different, but they overcame that, they coexisted, sometimes intermarried, and then suddenly something happens and now I can't coexist with you anymore. In fact, I can't tolerate your continued existence anymore, and I have to kill you, and I have to kill, even if you're my brother-in-law, even if you called me son at one point. That's all gone. I have to slaughter you and your family, and it happens over and over in human history. And so this was a little slice of that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And the last one is first prize.
We done good.
This was a really great, fun to read play with an incredibly happy ending that I think every writer wants. But before I give that away, tell us what inspired the play.
My brother and I were talking about the screenplay contest I'd entered, and he off the top of his head said, well, why don't you have a screenplay contest and ask people to send their scripts and their money to you? So that's the gist of it.
Were you both smoking spliffs at the time?
Something like that. So they make a ton of money. They get a lot of publicity, and they get an offer from the top Hollywood producer from the script that the guy keeps sending out. He's been doing this for a long time. It's as simple as that. It's pretty flimsy.
Well, it wasn't clear from the way that it was written. It wasn't clear that that was going to be the ending, because you're part of when you read it, you think, wait a second, if this is going to be a total scam, they're going to end up in trouble. And then somebody else wins the second place, or so because of the content, somebody else gets discovered, right? There was a girl who gets like an agent or something, and then you go, so they didn't get anywhere. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that.
They figure while they're setting up their contest that maybe they'll have first prize and first through 10, you know. And decide, that's too many. How about first and second prize? And, okay, well, yeah, maybe we could use why don't we use a minority person for number 2? And they come up with I can't remember what her name was, Patricia Lopez wins number 2. They've never heard of a Patricia Lopez. But all of a sudden, there is a Patricia Lopez. And she wins second place and gets an agent and an option on her script and an offer to produce, to bring out more scripts. Here these guys have got zilch.
Right. So you go.
Except a lot of money.
Well, that went well.
It is a lot of money, but not a lot of pot with it. It's as simple as that.
Right, and then at the end they actually get picked up and they get successful, and like I said, this is what every writer wants to happen. So it's kind of it's a feel-good play, and on this happy note, we'll conclude the panel.